The crane was a wicked experience. It was part of my goal when I was 14, I think, and I had drawn sketches of wanting to do it from a crane, and it was all liability, you're a minor. I wanted to set myself on fire. Like, you shouldn't do that. And then I got the opportunity from a small company. They had some big exhibition on Vancouver Island, just a part of town where they could let things like this slide, and I was like, perfect. I'll bring my riggers. I'll make sure it's safe, pray it's safe, and we made it happen.
Today, yo, hey, what we gon' slap today? All right, the world may not need another podcast, but it can definitely use a slap. Welcome to Slap the Power, the show that crosses artists who use their powers for progress. I'm Rick Barrio-Dill.
And I'm Asia Nakia.
On the show today, artistry and magic are in the air here at Slap Studios as we hit the eve of the most important election of our lifetimes.
And then we have our interview today with none other than Gabriella Lester. She is a magician, a fire-eating stunt woman, modern-day Houdini.
We hit our new animal rescue segment, Pause for Progress, where we talk about the tragic loss of Peanut the squirrel and a new law in his honor to protect sanctuary animals, Peanut's Law, Humane Animal Protection Act.
And then after that, we have some adoptable pups from some of our latest rescues here in the Los Angeles area.
And a little later, 2 scams and a slap, where we take 3 crazy batshit events, 2 of which are fake, but 1 is real. And one of the 2 of us learn in real time with you, the listener, which one is a true slap in the face of reality. All right, but first, we're proud to report the Kamala Harris volunteer office here right next door. Last Friday, the Friday before that, the Friday before that, and we are on the eve of the election here tonight, or election day here. But we're proud to report that they've done over 100,000 door knocks every weekend, and 30% of that is from California. So when everyone is hearing this episode, it'll be hopefully after the election on Wednesday. We're obviously hoping for good news, but we're also speaking to our future selves. So in that, we say no matter what happens, there's going to need to be some collective therapy. So love yourself and someone else, as we always say, and make sure to take care of each other and, stay safe out there. Okay, so it is the eve, and how are you feeling, Asia? I mean, the most important election of our lifetime right here. It's finally the night before. How you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to describe how I feel right now. I'm nervous and I'm anxious. I'm excited. I'm working on my mass exodus from the United States if I need to. There's just a lot going on in my head right now.
Yeah, it's like on one level, it is extreme for a lot of people that say, oh, well, he was in office for 4 years and, nothing bad happened except for trying to overthrow the government. No, I don't want to jinx anything. So I'm not, that's where I'm preparing. I'm with you. I'm just preparing for the reality of, I think everybody's tired of the noise, and I think it's kind of feeling like that level of noise has, I think the dam is broken. I feel like Michelle Obama's speech, putting the human, female, woman, everything American experience on how take my body, seriously, and I feel like that resonated in a way that Kamala unfortunately cannot do. She can't. She has to be tough in a man's world, and a prosecutor, and no matter what, they're gonna ding her for a lot of things. But I think the human element kind of happened where it did break through. At least to me, it felt like that. And the Tony Hinchcliffe sect, which again, even elongating that, we talked about it on the last episode. Shout out to Tony Hinchcliffe. I'm a fan of roast comedy, and we were like, it was just juxtaposed over, I think, at a time, where it was like he was just doing his set, right? And to some degree, right? But it wasn't a set anymore. But I do think that had a profound effect on the dam breaking, just even on the eve before. So we'll see how it turns out. I also think, we're gonna stay as sort of current and live as we can on the socials, on our social media channels and things like that, which is awesome. And it's, there's a good chance we're not going to know, tomorrow night. So even on Wednesday when this comes out, you may not know, the listener. But again, be kind. I think one of the things that we've realized from this whole experience, having the Harris office next door, we talked about this, is that no matter what happens, we're gonna need to come together and have and there's a lot of kick-ass Republicans that will have helped put Kamala in office, and I think that is awesome. Like when she says, "I will give you a seat at the table." Yeah. Then that means everybody, there's some therapy that needs to go on, because there's a whole MAGA faction that has no concept that he could lose unless it was rigged. But there's a ton of sane Republicans that are tired of the noise, and I'd love to be able to have a conversation with them. And so that's part of one of the other pods that we're working on, secret, classified project, but we're working on another one with a massive producer on just that side of things, on the Republican side, because it's funny. I got dinged over the weekend. I did a post about this, and I think the rap that I give is always towards Republican lawmakers. Republican voters, I think, there's a lot. I think there's a lot of the ones that did vote for Kamala are the ones that are like, no, this is fascism is a bit too far. Taking a woman's reproductive rights is a bit too far. That I feel like there's therapy that needs to happen after, no matter what happens with this election, and we've got to we got the holidays, certifications. Electoral certifications, December 11th, I think is one. And then, of course, January 6th. But January 3rd is the new Congress. And let's hope for Hakeem Jeffries as a speaker, so that we know we're going to certify the election. Because that's the other thing. The plan is to not have it certified. Right. And then, yet Gen Z has showed up so many times. I think there was a hashtag that was started. I saw it yesterday this was awesome. I saw it yesterday where they were like, Trump is losing in Pennsylvania, and that the trend was, or they were saying that there was election subversion. That's what it was. Okay. They were saying that there was election interference in Philadelphia, real heavy. And beaten on that, and the trend started that he must be losing. Hashtag he must be losing. And I almost feel like I want to believe we live in a world where that is not a joke.
If hashtags were ever real, this should be the one. He must
be losing. That's why they're claiming voter fraud, right? Because although they claim voter fraud when they win too, which is really odd. But anyway, I do, So I appreciate the opportunity that we've had, to be next to the energy and the stories and the reasons that people are taking their vote seriously. And so, it's been a true privilege no matter what happens. It's been really awesome having them next door.
No, absolutely. And I mean, either way, we need a way forward, which I think we're all going to have to support each other in one way or another, no matter how this turns out. So I am very glad we got to meet and be around such positive energy. I mean, such lights, and that'll continue no matter what, whatever happens. We all still have to stick together and move forward in some way. We're still here, so.
Hallelujah. And one of the things that helps with that is dogs, or one might say paws all over you. So, it's you like that? How you see what I did there?
See
all
right,
so
did.
I look forward to this in the show outlines. This week's a big one. So,
yeah, this is a big one. So, recently we had a mega star animal on social media named Peanut. He was a squirrel in New York, had a very loving family, living in a sanctuary with a buddy named Fred, a little raccoon friend. Lovely couple that, basically rescued these animals. And unfortunately, the DEC of New York came in a full raid as if they were doing a drug bust, spent who knows how many dollars of taxpayers' money to go and raid this home, confiscate the animals, and during this confiscation process, somebody gets bit by Peanut the squirrel, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, I would have bit them too if I was Peanut the squirrel.
Yeah.
But while this is all
Even if I wasn't
happening,
Peanut,
yeah,
I
mean, as a human being,
Yeah,
I probably
yeah.
would have bit them. So they took them and they euthanized both animals because of this bite, because they said that the only way that they could test for rabies was to euthanize the animals. Now, this is problematic in so many different ways. Number one, we haven't had a squirrel with rabies since, I believe, 1971. Like, I mean, this is not a thing. You know, we have other...
Cruelty for cruelty.
Yeah, we have other animals that are, carrying rabies, but squirrels are not at the top of that list. I promise you that. So, number one, that's problematic. Number two, I mean, even if the animal was rabid, we have a quarantine process in place. This is what we do at our local shelters. We do it in sanctuaries all the time. There's a holding period. Rabies symptoms are very obvious. You know when an animal is rabid. I mean, it's not difficult. They could have handled this in a much different approach where they actually held on to the animal to see if they were actually rabid. If they made it past their 10 to 14 day quarantine period, no symptoms, they go back home to their sanctuary and live the rest of their lives. So this was just a devastating blow to anybody that was following Peanut the squirrel. I mean, hundreds of thousands of followers. I mean, 700,000, I think.
Yeah, because it's the system. It's the system performing animal cruelty on itself, which is
And by the Department of Environmental Conservation. I mean, it's just.
Now,
but these are the same things we run into every time, and I think it had a lot to do with making an example out of these folks.
Yeah.
And I think there's, this deeply rooted, animosity towards when we're showing a nuisance animal or we're publicizing or making these rodents or, these animals that might not be at the top of our, we love dogs chain.
Yeah.
So I think it was just unbelievably cruel. To do this, and
Squirrel's
I think
got personality. I feel like Samuel Jackson laid down the law in Pulp Fiction on the rule, right? Squirrel's got personality. Raccoon's got personality. Yeah.
And you see it in their videos.
100%. You showed it to me, and I was like, that is like you said, it's a sentient being.
Yes.
And look, I get it. It's easy to be callous, and it's all concerned. What does it care about a squirrel? But this is why I think there's so much. I think this is why so many people are coming together is because no. The humanity, come on. That's a basic part of what it's, and our humanity on not being, inhumane to animals. Yeah.
And where do we stop? What gives us the right to take a life so easily without a proper protocol?
Yeah. They were raiding this house and they were just doing it because they were pissed off. And a lot of these people that are sort of over militarized and things like that are people that need a lot of therapy, themselves. Probably.
And I mean, I always hate to use the Karen, name and comment here, but I'm going to because it was a call-in from a woman that has a literal Instagram handle that says, "I hate squirrels."
See,
I mean, in what psychotic world do you have time to have a complete Instagram handle against hating an animal that does nothing but play in parks and plant seeds that help New York stay green and help you breathe fresh air? It's like I struggle with that.
Now, this is the cool thing, too, this is why we wanted to put it in the segment as well, is people are doing something about this.
Yes.
They are doing something. They are moving the needle on this. And so tell our listeners what that is.
Yeah. So, as tragic as this is, and, the world is devastated about Peanut's loss, but the one piece of good news out of this is that they've enacted a new law called Peanut's Law, and it's a basically a humane law to help protect these sanctuary animals and also to put more stipulations in place. If there is some thought that there is a rabid animal or someone gets bit, they are saying to have a 3-day waiting period before they euthanize. 3 days, is it the best? No, but it's something. It's moving the
Sure.
needle in a direction
Sure.
that's positive, and also adding in extra, layers of protection for sanctuary animals.
Yeah.
So we've got Peanuts Law, and
And then was there a fundraiser they were trying to get to a 250
Oh yeah,
goal.
huge fundraiser going on now, which I'm assuming is going towards this new law and also towards the sanctuary. People are really rallying for this.
How can people find it?
We'll have Peanuts handle in here if you are interested in helping with the fundraising and spreading the word.
Yeah.
And it's not just about Peanut. It's about how we respect and care for animals and how we decide when we can take a life. It's just...
All those people that have been getting involved and really almost have Peanut, I think it's 2/3 of the way towards their fundraising goal. So, you talk about artistry and magic. That's it right there. So, and on artistry and magic, coming up after the break, a real live magician in Slap Studios, Gabriella Lester. We are so stoked to have her here. Coming up.
Gambling is part of the culture of America, since even before we were America. I'm Norman Chad. I know gambling. I've played blackjack and poker. I've bet sports and horse races. I've even hit the slot machines at a Pahrump, Nevada 7-Eleven. You say gambling, I say gambling mad. So join me on Gambling Mad with Norman Chad, wherever you find your podcasts. Follow us on socials at Gambling Mad Show or at Gambling Mad Norman Chad at YouTube.
All right, joining us for the interview today, we are honored to have in the studio Gabriella Lester, magician. Yes.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Now, how long have you been in LA?
A couple months.
Fresh off the boat. Fresh. First of all, I think magic keeps you at the root of what joy and young, I think in a lot of ways. But I've always been blown away by the sort of folklore and the legend of Houdini and David Blaine. You see them do these big things, but we have Magic Castle here.
Yeah.
And when Asia was pitching the idea for you for the interview, I was like, well, ask her if she has been to the Magic Castle. And Asia was like, oh, yeah, she's done it 3 times. And I was like, oh, shit. All right, let's talk. Let's talk.
Because she is legit.
Yeah,
She's legit now.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So, and to be fresh off the boat and to have done that. So tell us about how your experience has been. And where you're from? You're from Vancouver, and you've been here 3 months. Was it via Vancouver, or were you somewhere before here?
Yeah, that came directly from Vancouver. I was born in South Africa, but I spent majority of my life in Vancouver, and now I'm here.
Nice. And is it magic that specifically brought you here?
Yes, yeah, for the most part.
Is it the Magic Castle? Is that one of the things? It's got to be, right?
For my little kid heart, I think the castle plays a big role in that. Right now I live across the street. I can see the castle from my window. So
I did too for a while. I lived right next door to we lived next door to the castle, and just walking by it on any night, you're like, come on, man.
Coolest building, yeah.
Yeah. Now, are there as many secret stuff inside there? Because I know as soon as in order to get in, for those that don't know, the Magic Castle, tell them what the Magic, you're a magician, tell them what the Magic Castle.
Sure, yeah. Selling pitch. The Magic Castle, it's an old building. It was built in around the 1900s, and it's been family run essentially, and it's an invite-only exclusive club for the greatest magicians in the world, and it is Disneyland for adults, basically.
Yeah. When you walk in, I don't want to do any kind of spoiler alerts or stuff like that, but the whole place feels like it's got hidden stuff. And then from the folklore, reading about it on how there's stuff underneath, there's all these what do you call them? The blueprints of some of the greatest tricks and stuff like that. How did you get into there? Because you have to be invited, and were you pitching them, or how did that happen?
Yeah, I'm really fortunate in that sense. The castle was, as a kid, a bucket list goal of, I want to visit this place. One day it's a dream.
It's amazing to just visit.
Yeah. And fortunately for me, I performed there first before ever visiting. But I was...
What room?
The Palace, the main stage.
Okay.
But
what else?
I was 17 the first time I performed there, and it's 21 and over, so I couldn't leave the backstage stage area. So my first couple weeks at the castle was all backstage. I didn't see the building for another year. So my only introduction to the castle was being backstage, being on stage, going backstage, being on stage, and leaving. And then it took a few months or a couple of years before they're like, okay, just let her roam. So I did it all in reverse.
That's amazing, though.
Yeah.
Now, by being backstage, did you? And I apologize, Asia, hogging
know
all the
how
conversation.
excited. He's very excited about the Magic Castle. We'll get to
very
Asia
excited about the
questions at
Magic
some
Castle.
point.
Magic Castle makes me happy.
Live your best life.
Yeah, no, it is. It's amazing. Like you, everywhere you go in it, you get a different room and you just get a different types of magic sleight of hand, like the full on kind of thing. But did you, by being backstage and everything, were you sort of just absorbing by osmosis, or did you have specific goals, or were they blocking stuff off? Like, are people very protective with their, I would imagine, with their tricks and stuff like that?
Inside the industry, we're pretty open. I think
Yeah.
it's kind of the only way to learn. And the magic industry is very much 1 degree of separation. Everyone knows everyone, and within that realm, it's like in a huge extended family. So most people are collaborating and sharing. And backstage at the castles, a group of the best magicians in the world, all collaborating and talking and sharing. And most people have been very gracious and taking me under their wing or sharing things with me. And I've grown up in the industry, so it's like having a bunch of dads.
That's amazing.
That's so cool.
And a few weird uncles, but
Yeah.
Well, definitely. Yeah, there's the odd uncles out in the hallway doing the sleight of hand and telling you your birthday.
yeah.
Now, when you were a kid, did you always want to be a magician?
Yeah, I decided probably at 10 or 11. I had a lot of passions and hobbies as a kid, and I just knew early on that whatever I want to do to the fullest extent. So when I found magic and it became something I couldn't let go, I just was like, well, this is my life now, and haven't stopped since.
What is your claim to fame current trick?
Probably the upside down straitjacket escape.
I was definitely going to ask about that.
Yeah, so it's the Harry Houdini upside down, like suspended straitjacket escape. So essentially I'm in a straitjacket, I get suspended upside down, and I've done it in theaters, and then I just recently did it from a crane at about 100 feet or so.
Amazing. Do you have to get insurance for the crane, or what is...
I should have. Whether or not I did is a different question.
How does this go down?
Yeah, the crane was a wicked experience. It was part of my goal when I did it first at 14, I think, and I had drawn sketches of wanting to do it from a crane, and it was all liability, you're a minor. I wanted to set myself on fire. Like, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Maybe be an adult first. And then I got the opportunity from a small company. They had some big exhibition on Vancouver Island, and it was just a part of town where they could let things like this slide, and I was like, perfect. I'll bring my riggers. I'll make sure it's safe. Pray it's safe, and we made it happen.
Wow. That's cool. Now, I presume you're working on your next masterpiece or a group of masterpieces. Is there anything that you can kind of, like, what gives you the most excitement now off of, say, a project that you're creating, or a new trick that you're creating or working on?
Yeah, I think I'm at an interesting point now where the straitjacket's a Harry Houdini thing, and some of the other effects I've done are, were created by some of the greatest performers in the industry, and I'm at a point now where I'm trying to develop the things that are my Gabriella Lester, this or that. So, and the greatest thing with magic is you can make anything possible. So now I'm just going, what's the most impossible thing in the world that I can do, and finding a way to make it possible.
Yeah.
What is the most impossible thing in the world and make it Can we just coin I'm just taking that's your first, maybe it's not your first best quote, but that one should be somewhere.
Thank you.
It should be somewhere. I absolutely love that. And I'm just so fat. Okay, so I'm going to geek out. It's my turn.
Geek, do it.
So I am just fascinated by, Houdini, and let's backtrack to the inspiration on Houdini for a minute. What compelled you to want to sort of either follow in that footstep or become, a female Houdini? I mean, what inspired you? How did you get there?
Yeah, one of my favorite things about magic is the history of magic, and as a kid I was a total nerd for that, and I knew, to create this person that I wanted to be, to create this big character in the magic industry, I'd really have to study the history to see what worked, and Houdini was one of the best at doing that. He was a businessman and a performer and could strategize, and everything about him was the total package, and that's what led him to get to where he was. So I fell in love with Houdini at an early age, and I just knew that I had to try and integrate what he did somehow and just take the jump. I was a kid doing card tricks essentially before that, and I got asked around 13. My school was what happened was my school's connected with a fundraiser, and they're like, hey, we're doing this fundraiser for children in developing countries with severe acute malnutrition. We'd like if you could perform and tell the story and maybe do a cute little card trick or a SpongeBob routine or something, and we'd like to showcase you. And I went, you know what? What if I did this thing? And I was sitting in the kitchen with my mom as a 13-year-old, be like, Mom, I'm going to hang upside down in a straitjacket. And she's like, yeah, no, you're not. Yeah. And it started from nothing. I went to the playground and hung upside down on monkey bars at first, and then got into a circus gym, and then just kept kind of building my way up until the performance day. But it really was something from nothing, and now we're here.
There's just something like so poetic to me about getting yourself untangled and you know, out of this situation in such a quick, there's something metaphoric about it.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
About life. It's like, I think that's what gravitates me to it, because I'm absolutely horrified of heights. I have a very big fear of heights, which is crazy because I do a lot of crazy things around the world that involve heights. But I'm just always fascinated by things like that. But the draw for me is like this just escape from whatever is holding you, you know, whatever is the barrier, whatever is holding you down, and being able to get free. There's something just so beautiful about that I think leads into, like, you know, what's your cause? Like, why are you doing this? So my next question is, what is your cause?
Why are you doing this?
I want to know. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, I think the most important thing for me is to become the role model that I wish I had when I was a kid. The magic industry is very...
So I was going to ask, do you have a female role model? You never did.
Not necessarily. I've had plenty of people that I've looked up to growing up, but
female magicians,
or men or anything. It's a really male-dominated industry. So for me, when I was looking up, you know, it was hard to know off the gate that this was something I could do, because there was no one that looked like me or was like me that had done it before. So it's really important for me to find ways to become that person. And there's never, you know, there's plenty of fantastic magicians that happen to be women now, and that number and that demographic is definitely growing, but there's certainly hasn't been a female Houdini or a female Copperfield ever or in a long time. And it's just about finding ways to do that and doing it the right way.
So is that your mission?
I think so.
Nice.
Yeah.
If you were to look 5 years from now, where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself levitating over the Luxor? Or?
I mean, with a few more tattoos, maybe.
Got to work on your 8-pack.
Really? Damn. I think a little bit of everything. I want to tour. I want to do TV. And I'd like to just kind of build that all. You know, what I like to say is I want to get as high up the mountain as I can, but I'd like to build it too and go up there the right way. And I think it's kind of in building my brand and who I want to be is I've become really addicted to just having real conversations now. And I think back in the day, 100 years ago, you know, you could say, I'm not going to be helped by anything, and I'm going to do all these impossible things, and I'm going to walk through a wall, and I'm going to set myself on fire. And nowadays, I think we care less about that and probably more about just having real conversations and being a real human being. So I don't think I need to do all these deadly, crazy things. I think I just need to be real, and that's kind of more impossible nowadays than all this other crazy stuff.
That's amazing. Have you studied on the technical side? Because that's also something that blows me away, is like the devotion. Like I've heard David Blaine talk about, you know, a lot of the training and the technical side of things. And the guys at the Magic Castle, just for example, just their sleight of hand and stuff that is done, it's a lifetime of kind of like, you know, stuff. Is that something that you're working on as well? Is that how does that come about? Because I understand being driven to be the magician, but then some of it you gotta just grind and work at, right, to get the body to do the technical part.
Yeah, right? So that's kind of where I started. I think with most magicians, they kind of start with cards and they either stay there or change. I fell in love with cards as a kid. It was my whole world.
I love card tricks too. Yeah.
I was always, I think, going to stay in that realm and be a card magician.
Yeah.
And when I was around the same age, just before the straitjacket, I got a carpal tunnel diagnosis because I was practicing so much.
Yeah.
And for like 6 months, I had to wear braces on both of my hands. As a kid in school, they're like, you can't write. You are not allowed to do magic. You have to stop. I was doing it so much. It
was straitjacket. It was holding you back. Right. It was holding you back.
So I was like, why don't I do escapes instead for a while my hands heal? Because that makes sense.
Yeah. Other than being driven, and this is probably an all-consuming occupation, I would imagine, but what else do you do?
It's hard. It kind of takes over my whole life. But the benefit for me, I think, is I still have lots of passions. And I love being a beginner and I love learning new things. So I can kind of let that fixation go at times and try other things and work towards other things. And I get so much of it because it's my whole life. It's my full-time job. So I'm performing all the time and working all the time. And then I can kind of put that in a little box and work on other things and spend hours on the floor just listening to vinyls and drinking tea.
Nice.
I like that.
What's your favorite vinyls?
Cold Spring Harbor by Billy Joel, his first vinyl.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the next most immediate thing? And if people want to get a hold of you or follow you or how, what do you have going on right now online where people can get involved and follow your work?
Yeah, so through my social media, which is just my name, at the Gabriella Lester. It's kind of where I post most of my shows, performing all the time, so there's lots of places you can see that. In terms of next big thing, that has a special place in my heart. I'm going to be doing a TEDx talk in January.
Hey,
and
no big deal.
And that's just kind of a total left turn for me in what I've been doing, so that's going to be an interesting point in my career to shift a little bit.
Is it different in what you're doing in public speaking or different in what you're doing in the subject matter?
Subject matter, and it's tied into my career. I think my topic is, why doing what you love matters, how it can change your life and stuff like that. So it's just integrating some personal stories with how a passion has gotten me through everything I've been through in life.
That's killer. And as a newly birthed Angelino, how do you like Los Angeles?
It's interesting. I think that's the perfect word to sum it up.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time traveling back and forth here over the past couple of years before I just figured it was best to be here. And, I'm from a small suburb just out of Vancouver. That's kind of where I've grown up, and it's always been, big fish in very small pond. I've kind of been the only person really doing much.
Hanging upside down in a straitjacket?
Right.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And here, people are like, yeah, well, I do that most Wednesdays, so
You're like, I just did that yesterday.
Yeah.
What's next?
So I'm very little
My
fish
delivery
again.
guys,
Well, you won't hear that from me. I will not be hanging from a building.
Yeah.
But unless I'm rescuing a dog, then maybe.
Then
Which you would easily
Which
do.
Which
with it,
maybe
yeah.
I will have to, at some point, if there's a
Dog,
dog and
I
I
got
need
you.
someone to
Yeah.
suspend from something, I'm gonna
on it.
call
Yeah,
you
I'll
for
do
that.
anything for a dog.
I do like the sort of nature of the spectacle because David Blaine and a lot of these, encasing himself in a block of ice for, 2 weeks or whatever it is that he fucking does. It would always be amazing to me because it was a spectacle. He put himself in the middle of Times Square, or that was, I think, the Chris Angel thing, when it was like above the Lexor. Do you like Chris Angel?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Is his magic like super respected? Or
He was always kind of the badass bad boy of magic, so I think he's gone through phases. And, But
yeah, was he got a rig or a residency?
yeah,
in Vegas?
I think he's Planet Hollywood now. He's still out.
Nice.
Oh,
Dope.
cool.
Yeah.
Dope. I always loved it. The television show was really killer, and you're like, how do you do that? How do you do that? How do you do that? What part of LA are you in though? Because that's the other thing I was going to ask you.
I'm in Hollywood.
Okay,
so.
we're in Hollywood too. Hollywood's, love Los Angeles. I could not. I could go on all day about the love for Los Angeles, but it comes at a price.
Yeah.
It comes at a price, and managing that. And I don't mean actually like a literal price. I mean when everybody here is in the industry to some way. Like we were talking about, the Uber driver's got a set at the Laugh Factory. After he drops us off, and he's crushing. I love that though. I love that kind of delusional like energy where everybody's leaning forward and chasing something.
Yeah.
Chasing the magic.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah.
This town is magic. So, well, Gabriella Lester, thank you so much for coming by, and we would love to keep in touch with you. And if you're developing a trick, I think in my head I see like a spectacle of it with. We can draw some attention
Where
to
we
some
solve
dogs.
the LA shelter
We need
crisis.
to get some. Yeah, we got a shelter crisis in
talk
LA that
about
we
the-
want to make poof
We need
disappear.
to.
We need to make it disappear. So I feel like we can
Exactly.
do a crossing here that could be really, really badass, and see if we can get some insurance for that
let's
crane, right?
Oh,
We'll get
Start
some-
with the real problems.
Yeah, we start with the real problems
Yeah.
and we create a spectacle of it. I mean, it's such a beautiful, metaphoric, poetic way to bring attention to a cause.
Yeah,
So I
definitely.
And entertain.
Yeah.
While
and
bringing
be entertained.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on.
Of course. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Anjali Bhimani.
And I'm Julia Bianco.
And we are so excited to be bringing you our new creative baby, the Character Select podcast.
I've wanted to save the world since I was 4.
There has been no character like him up to that point, and there really hasn't been a character since.
Every episode of Character Select, we're going to be taking fantastic video game performances and talking about what makes them tick, what makes them exciting as players, as performers, as sound designers, as casting directors.
I feel like I've been ambushed. I was here to be on a podcast to talk about a video game.
So it's a big old love fest here. That's how we start this, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. Recognized by the 2013 edition of the Guinness World Book of Records Gamers Edition as the most prolific female video game voice actor in the world.
You know it's a special project when you hold on to the people you created it with.
Careers are born by being in the right place at the right time, where you can't control the right time, but you can control the right place.
How cool was that? Like,
Yeah.
my love. I mean, I came in really hot. I came in hot. The Magic Castle is a special place, obviously. I think to all magicians.
I just find it kind of ironic that you asked me maybe like my first week here, had I been to the Magic Castle, and then lo and behold, we have Gabriella here just kicking butt and being a magician.
Bob.
I mean,
That's
amazing.
what we do here. We be manifesting shit, yo. Yeah.
Just artists of different kinds, and I mean, magic. Like what?
Legit,
that's just up here.
Literal and source magic is what we had.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And just, women empowerment and all the amazing things she's doing and giving a chance. And I think like the one little note that I'll leave it on is the thing that I love about magic is that it transcends everything. It transcends classes and languages and barriers like, music and dancing. It doesn't matter where you are. Anybody can be watching magic and be in awe.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of magic.
Yeah.
And so I just loved the interview. She's just a rock star, 20 years old. I'm like,
I know.
What?
So, I would give
She is in her
anything to be
lane.
that confident at that age and just so comfortable in my own skin at that age.
She was just
I would
born
give
to
an
be a
Emmy.
magician. I mean, that's it. That's it. It's clear.
How cool
So,
is that? Tell me about the pup situation.
So our pup situation. So everyone knows I've been doing some rescues while I've been here in LA. And my first 2 rescue babies, Pluto and Tiny, Pluto is in foster care right now, but he is also up for adoption. And we're going to show some beautiful clips of him. He is a 5-month-old, beautiful, beige, green-eyed baby boy looking for a home. And then our little baby Tiny, who was with him, she just went into her home trial. So she is in her adoptive home. If everything goes well and it's her favorite place to be, we will sign off and, officially adopt her.
Yeah.
We also have our 3 kittens, our fence kitties that we've talked about a few times. Our 3 fence kitties are also all in home trials, which leaves Pluto, Cole, and Gypsy available for adoption. So we're gonna try and find them some homes. If anybody can share, if anyone's interested,
And how they
please
find it.
let us know. You can find them on compassionkind.org available for adoption, but we will also place a link in our episode and in our bio links on social media.
Yes. I love that. All right. And before we go, 2 scams and a slap. I love it when I get to do this part. We take 3 batshit crazy events, 2 of which are fake, but 1 is real. And only one of the 2 of us knows in real time. So you, the listener, are going to experience this at the same time with Miss Asia Nakia, and our producer Bree has sent me things that I'm actually getting for the first time as I read them. So here we go. One of these things is a slap in the face. Reality. Asia Nakia. Number 1. California town bans selfies to preserve natural beauty. Number 2, NASA accidentally discovers ancient Martian civilization underneath Mars. And number 3, woman shares her home with 1,100 cats. It's a lot of cats. I mean, I bet you that home smells awesome.
That's a lot of cats.
That's a lot of cats. Like a lot of just cats just sitting there in the corner, filing their nails. Yeah.
Creating an army.
Yeah. So what do you think? Number 1, California towns banning selfies. Number 2, NASA discovers ancient Martian civilization. And number 3, a woman shares her home with 1,100 cats.
Man. As an animal rescuer, I've seen some crazy, crazy shit. So I am gonna go with the cat lady.
I think that you're 2-0 now. You beat me. Yes, you are correct. Indeed. 67-year-old Linnea Latanzio. It's 1,100 cats. Now, this is a quote. I've taken in and lived with 28,000 cats. That's probably a record.
Como?
Yeah, see. So apparently there's the cat house on the Kings is where the sanctuary is now that she has. And it's currently home to 800 adult cats and 300 kittens, which have all been taken either in as feral or abandoned animals. Based in California, of course. Fucking liberals, lefties, crazies. The sanctuary allows its residents to roam freely around the 12-acre land, which is, we got to shout out to California. See, that was, shout out to California.
I mean, that's where, my rescue brain was like, are all of these animals spayed and neutered? Are they okay? Do we have ample food? Do we have enough sanctuary room? But 12 acres is a good amount of space, so they're probably okay. But now I feel like I have to go take a visit and investigate.
I mean, she's in Cali.
I might need to make a trip over there, but I'm hoping she's doing good work. I'm hoping the cats are comfy, and filing their nails and scratching whatever they want and living their best cat lives.
I tell you what, and when I saw that the sanctuary was there, it made a lot more sense than trying to do that in like a 1-bedroom in Reseda. Or something.
Yes,
that'd be a little rough.
Yeah, 1,100 in a 1-bedroom apartment in LA would have really stopped me in my tracks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's our show for this week. Check our show bio and all the show notes for all the links and stuff from this episode. We also even got some fun things that we're adding there, new each week, so make sure to check it out. Hit the subscribe button, all that shit that people say to do. But most importantly, reach out, like we said, because it's an important time, and I think you got to take care of each other, and we do have to start healing what's been going on for the last couple of years. So love yourself and somebody else. We'll see you next week. Slap the Power is a Slap Network production. It's written and produced by Rick Barriodil and Asia Nakia. Our senior producer is Bree Corey, audio and video editing by Asher Friedberg and Bree Corey, and studio facilities provided by Slap Studios LA and 360 Pod Studios. If you're into online power scrolling like we are, don't forget to follow Slap the Power on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and probably Pinterest soon for access to full episodes, bonus content, and more. And if you're as full of hot takes and crazy ideas as we are, please think about dropping us a review to help boost this episode, and you can help blow up the group chat by sharing with friends, family, or random shit posters on the internet you want in on the conversation. And if you're interested in being a guest on the show, please email info@slapthepower.com.